Good evening, friends. Welcome to Ramblings of a Middle-Aged Card Collector, Episode 6, Brushstrokes and Storytelling, the Art of David Palumbo in Magic the Gathering. We will be discussing David's art in previous sets, his revealed art in upcoming Spider-Man set, and the current state of OA in trading cards. Tonight, we are joined by an incredible sci-fi fantasy artist and illustrator known for his oil paintings, with such notable credits as Marvel Masterpieces 2020, Marvel Platinum, Flair 2023, and an artist with Magic the Gathering since 2008. He also has more than 15 illustrated novels and recently did the first covers for the relaunch of Heavy Metal. Without further delay, please welcome our guest tonight, Dave Palumbo. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, glad to be here. I never know what to do listening to someone intro me other than just be like, yeah, oh, that's I guess that's all factually correct. So.
I went through, it's like, let me make sure I got a correct
Sure, yeah,
for a guest here.
yeah.
Very special event. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm grateful. I did have the pleasure of meeting you at OX last year. Got to see your work up front and close. You presented the Constantine work, which was one of my favorite things I've ever seen. Art, period.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially up close. I know Sideshow, I think, is going to do a print for it.
They did.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it was a limited or if it's something that they're still available or not. But that came out either, I can't remember if it was earlier this year or late last year. But the new one, I did a Loki print with them just recently. I don't know if you saw that one.
I did.
I'm hopefully gonna have that at OAX with me if I still have the original when the show comes around, because I'd like to bring that one for sure.
That's very exciting to hear. That's awesome. As you heard, Dave will be going to OAX for 2026, as well as your mother, right? Julie will be going?
Yeah, we'll both be there. Yeah, we had an amazing time last year, so very much looking forward to it.
I couldn't agree with you more. Again, I had the pleasure of meeting you and your mother, as well as all the other friends in the community. Finally, keeping up close was so incredible. So make sure you hit that up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm assuming you haven't maybe been up to DeluxeCon IX, which is kind of local for me. I'm in Pennsylvania, and that's in Pennsylvania. And it's the only other show that I have done. I mean, there's a ton of shows out there, and most of them I've never been to, but most of them are so big and sprawling with so many different things going on. And OAX and DeluxeCon are both like just about the art. And they both have that intimacy of being able to just kind of chill out and like talk to people and not be getting like jostled aside by huge crowds or anything. And I feel kind of ruined for the big shows by that, because it's so much more. It's so much nicer to be able to like have real conversations with people and not be in that kind of madcap pace. I used to do San Diego Comic-Con. I don't miss it. So
New York Comic-Con, we do. We're local. I'm in North Jersey.
Okay.
I'm very curious about this con you're mentioning, because Pennsylvania is not that far.
Oh yeah. Well, it's that's in October. I'll definitely send you more info.
Oh wow, you're going this year?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. So anyone in the Northeast tri-state area, make sure to go check
not to step on OAX's toes. I think both shows very much worthwhile. And while OAX is more comic book oriented, so far as I've seen anyway, it seems like really solidly in the comics world. IX is really more in the like there's a lot of magic artists there, and a lot of folks who are doing like book covers and more kind of like traditional avenues of sci-fi fantasy art, going back into I don't know if Michael Whalen still goes, but my mom will be there again for sure.
Really?
Like that. Yeah.
So, your mother was so sweet. It was such a treat to talk with her. I was able to take a picture with her. It was.
Oh yeah. She had the best time.
Yeah. Is IX part of Comic Art Fans?
No,
Okay.
I think that they are like there's like a lot of crossover. Bill Cox, who was one of the founders and organizers of OAX, who runs Infected by Art, he's been coming out to IX as I think some capacity of like I know he's always got a presence at the show for the past number of years, and he's definitely involved with some of the behind the scenes stuff, but I don't know exactly like how involved. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of kind of overlap in both the artists and the people behind the scenes there.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting. This is news to me. So yeah, this isn't IAX, right? This is something different.
I don't know what IAX is, but
wasn't IAX the
too many acronyms?
I know, right? Wasn't that the Batman print you did for OAX?
Oh, so yeah, that was yeah. They're at OAX. They have their kind of like sub categories for the illustration and the card art and that kind of thing. So yeah, that was separate. That was part of that.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification, because that was an
I get confused.
Piece, by the way.
Thank you.
Love that Batman. It was very cool.
Thank you.
So I guess we'll go right into these. I prepared some questions for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I also prepared a slide that we'll jump into in a little bit.
Just want to also say hi to these folks in the chat. Hey everyone.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate everyone who comes on. We got some awesome followers who jump in the chat and catch the replays as well. And I appreciate all you. So shout out to all of you. That's right, Dave. So I'm sure everyone is aware of your past and everything, but you come from a family of legendary artists, Julie Bell and Boris Vallejo. What was it like growing up surrounded by that kind of creativity?
I was so young when my mom met Boris. I was, I think, about 7 years old when I first met Boris. And so it was strange, but I was young enough that it became fairly normalized. And mostly it was just like really exciting to get to, being a kid who was into, movies and comic books and things like that. It was really cool to get to see what they were working on and go to conventions with them and things like that when I was really young. And then as I got older, and I started to think more about what I wanted to, how seriously did I want to take making art? Because it had been something I was interested in. Even before my mom met Boris, I was, as a little kid, I was into drawing, and she was making art at that time also, just not professionally, but it was something that she did. And it was really very, like, I just feel like I was so privileged to grow up watching them do that as a profession, that it gave me a lot of confidence that that was something that I could also do. And that when I, went off to school and started studying more seriously, learning, really like learning how to paint and that kind of thing, I had that support at home to really kind of just again, like to give me that demonstrable, like, this is a real thing that people do. If I had decided that I wanted to be an author or something, I wouldn't know where to begin, or like a musician or something like that. I wouldn't know where to begin. But because I had that resource to be able to like ask them questions and watch the way they do things and just kind of see them every day, sit down and work and see how it is something that a person can, make their life around. I just feel like so lucky to have been able to grow up with that.
And that's awesome. Like you're saying, so there was like that fundamental structure that you were able to see, not just their passion for art itself, but the mechanics of the profession and what involved with that.
I think that's such an obstacle. And again, like if I had gone into something where I didn't have that to look at, it's such an obstacle to people to just translate, how does this turn into paying the bills? And honestly, like having done this for the past about 20 years now that I've been working as an artist, I'm still not even sure I know how it pays the bills, other than you just sit up and get into your studio and work every day, and somehow it kind of comes together. But it's really very very special thing to be able to grow up with that.
Awesome. And with that said, was there a defining moment when you knew this would be your path for profession?
I mean, it really was something that I had an interest in as far back as I can remember. My dad, he was a English professor, who was really into science fiction movies, and he was really into science fiction novels, and he was really into comic books. And so he introduced me to all of those things. And I think that those things were always the stuff I was just like growing up as a kid into being a teen and a young adult. Like those were the things that I was just so totally saturated in. And if I hadn't decided to go into making paintings or drawing or something like that, movies would have been the other thing I think I was most interested in.
Okay.
I don't know in what way. In some ways, that industry seems like it's so different. Like when I was a kid, it was all like practical effects and building models and things like that. And as I got older, and it was clearly like moving in a more like digital effects direction and that kind of a thing, I think that made it easier for me to really kind of feel comfortable moving in the direction of drawing and painting, which is something that felt more. I really like tactile, physical things, which is why I still work with traditional media. I like analog and old schools, So
Yeah.
I thought that comic books was the direction I'd go, but then when I started learning how to paint, that just felt like such a more natural feel to me. And then I went off to school. I studied at a kind of more of like a fine arts type of program, a lot of really traditional like portraiture academic style. And then when I came out of school, I started adapting that again into the genre work that I really loved so much. And somehow that brought me back to doing illustration.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's very insightful. And when you majored in school, like, is there a memorable piece that you did in your early years from then? Do you still have it, or?
I don't have a lot of my pieces from back then. I actually have, just not too long ago, there was a lot that was stored at my mom's house, and I see Kazra. Hey, Kazra. I had a lot of stuff that was stored at my mom's house, and she had a bunch of stuff that needed to get moved around. They were doing, I think there had been like some work they were doing, some just like some stuff that was like, this has been here for so long. Can you come and pick it up, And to be honest, like going back through the student work is kind of interesting, but I don't feel sentimental about it. And so I don't know really like what would I do with this stuff. I mean, there are pieces that I definitely remember. There were pieces that were important to me because it was a real kind of like step forward, or I tried something ambitious. The biggest painting I've ever done was in my senior year. I did a 7-foot painting, which really taught me that I don't enjoy working at that scale. But it was those things were all like really kind of important, but then I felt like they served their purpose, and I kind of just move forward from there.
I'm sure they're sentimental to your mom. I mean, that's so funny
Oh,
that you
for
said
sure.
it, because I can relate to like my mom keeps like the stuff from when I was a kid in the attic in like a tote or something, or it's just over the years, it's both my sisters and mine, like artwork we've done or special projects. So I can only imagine like your mom's got like a whole gallery area of all your pieces, and you had to come pick these up. I don't got room for them.
And I mean, like she has a lot of from my brother as well. My brother went to the same school as I did. He's 2 years older than me, and the both of us over the years, she would just collect, a piece here, a piece there. We would give her stuff. We would just leave stuff at the house, and So yeah, she has a lot of pieces that kind of represent that like evolution that we both went through. But of course, like, you know, when you're in school, you're making so much work, and a lot of it is what I would consider to be exercises. And I just remember, yeah, she was like, she's like, you can't ask me to like get rid of these or anything. If you don't want them, then you have to come and take them and do whatever you're going to do with them. Because, and I understand that. It's like, I wouldn't want to have to dispose of someone else's artwork either, even if they told me they didn't want it and didn't care about it. It's just, that's not a right thing to do to someone else. So yeah, I had to go collect all of that stuff, and I just, you know, now I've got it in my own storage. So
hey, well, you know, it shows your progression. Like you said, there are some memorable ones that you could look back on and be like, oh yeah, I definitely progressed in my craft here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
As you mentioned, you know, comic books and everything, were there other artists or storytellers from comic books or artists in the comic world outside of the family that shaped your style the most?
I mean, I think like comics were really influential to me when I was little, and Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane were two that I really definitely enjoyed in that period of time. And I remember, you know, doing copies of drawings, particularly like some of the Jim Lee X-Men trading cards and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There were Marvel was really the brand that I read the most, and so there were a lot of Marvel artists whose work I really liked. I don't know how much of that shows up in my work now. I think that the DNA is in there somewhere. I remember talking years and years ago, I was talking to somebody about this, and he was asking me about different influences, and I mentioned Sergio Topi, and who's an Italian comic artist that did some really cool, like very 60s stylized stuff. And I mentioned Topi, and he's like, I don't see that in your work at all. I'm like, well, I don't know where it is. I just know that I liked it, you know?
Yeah. Like it's somehow influenced you.
Yeah. And that's like, there's so many artists over the years who have been an influence on me. And I think some of them in a somewhat overt and yeah, that's pretty clear to see kind of way. And some of them, I'm not sure where it is in there. I just know if I found it interesting, it must work its way in somehow. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. With that, is it different working with a Marvel themed set for Magic the Gathering versus the other fantasy sets? And which was more enjoyable to you with that history?
As far as the Magic cards go, I really like doing the Marvel stuff. So I haven't done very much of the what they call it universes beyond, all of the different franchised kind of properties that they're working on. And up until I think it might have been prior to the Marvel set, they had a policy that it was digital only.
Really?
They didn't allow traditional work. They have certain restrictions with the contracts where I don't understand and I don't necessarily agree with some of what I do understand about it, but whatever the reasons are, that's just the deal that they have made with their licensing partners. And, you know, being a traditional media artist, that pretty much put me just, you know, it just wasn't even on the table when they were doing some of those earlier sets. I came in on the Spider-Man set like right at the end. I think I might have been there. They had several waves of commissions that went out. I didn't get involved until it was like, my understanding, it was basically like the last kind of little batch of assignments that hadn't been completed yet. So, you know, I do have a lot more Marvel work coming up in future universes beyond stuff. And
awesome.
I had I had a really good time working on those. I had a really good time working on masterpieces and the other upper deck stuff I did.
Yep.
I didn't know when I did a little tiny bit of stuff for Marvel like way back, and I really always wanted to work with them. And then it just kind of never went anywhere. And then my career went in the direction it went in. And it just didn't seem like, it's like sometimes you don't get to do the things that you thought you were going to want to do. And so when Masterpieces presented itself as an opportunity for me, when I was asked if I'd be up for doing that, I was really like interested, excited, flattered, and also nervous about like
the scope, right?
Yeah, well, the scope, but also just like, for one thing, committing to a 2-year project, 135 pieces for a client I'd never worked with before on a huge brand like that. I was like, I don't know if they're going to drive me insane, if they're going to be like really micromanaging or whatever. They were great. It was like such a smooth and I believe mutually like enjoyable process working on that set. And a big part of my nervousness also was I grew up loving this stuff, but there's a lot of things you love when you're like 12 years old, and then you come back to it and you're like, I guess like late 30s, and you're just like, I don't know if I'm connecting with this anymore, or whatever the case might be, that it's just not as, it doesn't light you up the way it used to. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with that. And so I was really happy when I started working on it that all of that came back. And I feel like I actually like really kind of got a lot of energy from it. Like maybe I had been starting to feel a little bit kind of like stagnant in some of the work I was doing. And working on these Marvel characters, it like brought back a lot of that enthusiasm that I had from being a kid and being like, just like, all that like love and excitement was still there, which was so, I was so happy to discover that.
So like reinvigorated you.
Yes, absolutely. And working on these sets with Wizards of the Coast, it's same thing. It's like, I don't know, there's just something for me. It really connects with a lot of that just childhood joy that I had in this stuff. It's one of my favorite things, which is weird because like I don't watch a lot of the movies. I haven't seen a lot of the Marvel movies. I'm way out of date with like following the comics or anything. But that love is still like somewhere deep down there that I feel like it's not going anywhere. It's just anytime I get to work on these, I'm having the best time.
It resonates because of like the nostalgia and the joy it brought to you as a kid going and seeing the comics and the artists that you were really into or the storylines that they were providing. So I can totally, see where you're coming from with that. And I had no idea about the universes beyond previous being digital only. I was kind of questioning why I didn't see your work in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and I believe like this is something I know there are folks at Wizards who have been working to kind of make changes to that. And it's a massive, Wizards owned by Hasbro, this enormous corporation. I don't have any insight into how decisions are made, or they're like, I'm sure they're massive team of lawyers working out these contracts with Disney's massive team of lawyers. I don't know really like the ins and outs of all that. All I can say is I'm happy that they have started to, and I hope they continue to make that, because I don't believe that is something that they have made. I think there are still some artists working on these sets that are restricted to doing digital only, and I hope that they will be opening that up so that it is something that everybody can work in whatever medium they feel they work best in. I really feel like the more they open that up, the more it benefits everyone.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. We need more traditional. I'm not a fan of what we may say the future may bring with AI.
I was going to say, I definitely don't want to be mistaken to be talking trash on digital art.
Correct.
All the respect to folks who work digitally. Some amazing work that people do. But yeah, the AI stuff,
no,
that's
trash.
Yeah.
And what's crazy to that fact, in 10 years, we may be calling the early digital art traditional in some way.
I mean, it's human made, and that's the thing. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well said. Yeah. We have a question from Blake Marino. Thanks. We got at Dave for the Magic set. Were you told what character you were doing?
Oh my God, yeah. So working with Magic is totally different from working with Upper Deck, where they're very kind of like loose. I mean, even with Upper Deck, it's like they're definitely still saying these are the characters we want, you know, and they might have some indication about like we'd like, you know, Wolverine in his, you know, blue and gold costume or whatever. But Magic is and has always been, ever since I've worked with them, very specific about what they want. It's only become more so over the years because, again, it's this huge the scale of how many pieces of art they're hiring every year, and that it's all got to work together into some kind of master plan where they're like designing these cards. I find it overwhelming the amount of history to that game, and the people who have been playing it since the beginning, the inventory in their head of these like thousands of cards that they know at a glance. Somebody drops it on the table and they know what it does and how it, you know, synergy with this other card and the combos that you can do and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Magic is definitely very specific about what they want to see, and they have like they have a style guide that the artists are, you know, meant to kind of like follow, so that everything does have a cohesiveness, even when it's something like Marvel, where it's like, well, this is all established. We all know what Spider-Man's costume looks like and all that kind of stuff. But even then, there is still a lot of kind of like tonal notes that go into making the set coherent when you've got, you know, dozens of different people independently working without seeing what each other is working on. Yeah, I'm, you know, I think it's just a necessity that they have to really kind of be
it's like multiple trademarks, right? So like you said, lawyers upon like each company trademarks be like Marvel versus Disney, and then you
and
Wizards of the Coast, and you know
we're working with Marvel's or we're working with Wizards art directors, but then once we get approval, we still have to get a second approval, because then that'll get sent off to the Disney Marvel team for them to sign off on things. But Wizards, I think they're pretty good about being on top of stuff, and I don't feel like in the experiences I've had, I don't feel like I've had much come back from the parent IP. It's always been like Wizards giving me notes before it goes off, and then at that point it's pretty smooth sailing. So, yeah.
And would you feel like the more focused art direction at Wizards is beneficial to the collectors or the card art versus a very loose, and this is in general, not just to you, but to artists, a very loose, like, do this pose, this character, whatever you want to do with it?
I think it, you know, I think there's pros and cons to both. I really like I think that some of the trading card sets of the 90s had a lot of funkiness to them at times, because artists probably were just given like, just like go wild with it. And when I was little, I remember seeing a lot of that stuff and feeling like, I don't understand what this is. Like I really had a much more narrow appreciation of the really realist stuff that I wanted to see that. And then some of the people who were doing more stylized things or like stranger things, I didn't understand it and I didn't appreciate it. When I look back at it now, I think that stuff is really like vital, and it makes those so cool. I'm glad that actually Wizards has broadened out and they have a wider range of styles represented than they did back when I started with them, where things were more kind of homogenous. But as far as like having that more specific direction, it doesn't always feel good in the moment. And when you are really happy with the piece and you turn it in, and then it comes back to you with some notes of changes that they want made. Sometimes those changes are for like mechanics reasons, where I don't even know what this card is going to do, but apparently it's really important that I tweak something because it connects with how the card works in the game. Those kinds of notes can be sometimes frustrating. It can be a little bit bruising to your ego sometimes. But this is one thing I have definitely learned over the course of my career as a commercial artist, is the art director is on your side, and most of the time those notes make the piece better. And I know there are a lot of pieces where I went back and had to make changes to something that I was satisfied with when I turned it in. And I'm like, damn it. That was the right call. I'm glad that I got pushed, because it's definitely like a more successful piece, you know, now that I came back and gave it whatever extra little bit or made whatever change was asked of me most of the time.
Well, there you go. As long as it's beneficial and you're enjoying the outcome as well. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
What was one of the most memorable cards that you did for Magic the Gathering?
I think, memorable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it's like probably more like personal milestones as far as that goes. So like the first couple pieces that I did back in Shards of Alara, those were really memorable to me, because I had been trying to get work with Magic for a couple of years at that point. This was in the mid-2000s, going out to San Diego Comic-Con, meeting the art directors, showing my portfolio, getting feedback, and then coming back the next year with a whole new book to show them. And it really took like a couple of rounds of that before I got hired. And so when I did get hired, some of those early pieces, I was really like, so I've been building up to it so much that they really kind of stick in my memory. I think, I more or less remember all the pieces I've done, but I don't know that there are ones that really stand out to me so much on a personal level, aside from Totally Lost, which mostly because it's become such a kind of like a meme type of an image and character. But I had no idea at the time I did it. It was just, one more assignment, which looked like it was going to be a not very playable card when the set released. And so it was very fun to see it kind of, take on another life. But I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I think there are a lot of pieces that I did that I'm still really happy with, but I don't know that there's like any particular that jumped to my mind as like a real kind of. I will say the Aminato piece that I did recently for Duskborn. I put a lot of myself into that. Just it was finally to get to paint a planeswalker, which I'd never done before. That was another example of like something where I was like, okay, I really can't drop the ball on this. I gotta give it everything I've got. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Our friend PJ saying he can relate. They had him do an additional piece because the one he finished apparently did not fit the new card frame layout they had.
Oh man, I see that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say I don't know what happened in that case, and I hope I've had that happen to me as well, not for that same reason, but I've had pieces that got canceled and then recommissioned to me. I remember I did Stomping Ground for the Return to Ravnica set, and when I turned it in, like the art director was like, "There's nothing. This is not a critique of the piece. It just now that we've got all the other Shocklands in, it doesn't fit next to them. We realized that this is like tonally not quite a match. Would you want to do it again?" And so they recommissioned. But it's frustrating when a piece is gonna just get buried in the vault. We can't show it legally until they do. There's one of mine that's in the arena set that just came out that had been slushed. I don't know exactly for what reason, but it was just a piece that never got released. And so I was so happy to see that it just popped up in arena, and now I can show it again.
Nice. So I made a little slide here for our guests, and I went through the years that you've been. You started in 2008, and I just picked some of the ones that I really enjoyed. The art was really cool, and I was able to find your original paintings with your descriptions and everything. So this was from 2008, the Rockstar Platoon, Rockcaster Platoon. The set was Shards of Alara. It's a Rhino Soldier uncommon, and this was 12 by 16 oil on panel.
That probably was just pretty close. That was probably 11 by 15. At that time, I was working on illustration board. I remember very clearly like working on this piece and painting this piece. This wasn't from the first batch of assignments I got, but it was still part of that first release. I think this was the second batch that he gave me.
It was really cool. The detail of the rhinos, it's really cool. The background with them chucking the rock.
Yeah,
I really like the art on this one.
Thank you.
And then there's actually some more we got here. The Welkin Guide from 2008. That was Eternal Masters. That was a common bird cleric. It was pretty cool looking.
Yeah, these are all throwbacks for sure. That shield was a fun one to do. I always love the idea of like artwork within a painting, a mosaic or some other kind of like graphic or something represented in the painting. It's kind of fun to do.
Really cool. I gotta say that if really looking at it, the detail on the shield is it's impeccable. It's really cool. The snapper turtle is really awesome. It almost gives you like there's no scale to it, so you're like, how big is this thing?
Yeah, I honestly, if I were to do that one again today, I might try to. That's a thing I'd probably be more aware of. But yeah,
it's scary. It feels like it's coming around the corner, and you're like the size of its, like pinky.
Yeah.
It's terrifying, when you're really looking at it. So great work on these. And then we moved on. We got the wooden stake from 2011. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, Innistrad was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Vampires quivering in the background.
Just all the gothic horror stuff. I love that stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I too enjoy a lot of the horror and creature.
Yeah.
I'm a big Man-Thing fan, so that's
okay.
And your 2020 Man-Thing is
thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, love it. The Werewolf Ransacker is a really cool one from 2012. That's a really cool one. Then you had the Medicaid of Ageless was a wild one. It's like a Sphinx creature.
Medicaid, Metamai, yeah.
There you go. There you go. Oh, I wrote the wrong thing. What did I write? Medicaid. Autocorrect screwed me on that one. Thanks for correcting me on that one. The Apex Hawks was really cool from 2014. I like that one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I remember actually, I remember Boris giving me notes on that hawk, how to kind of like give it more like, I remember like just to give it more bite, things to make the shapes more dynamic in the hawk.
That's great. That's a great memory from a piece. That's awesome. It's got its prey and its claws. It's gonna be pretty cool. Embodiment of Fury. That's really cool. And I never really played Magic too much. I got into it like in middle school, and then I just started collecting the cards and putting them in binders because that's what I was used to with Marvel cards. But my son has been playing for like 7 years, so he's really into Magic cards. So he kind of like schools me on it now, and I'm like, all right, and so we're gonna start playing now. Either October 2nd or the following Thursday, we're gonna do a Magic the Gathering Spider-Man break. So that'll be really cool.
I'm so looking forward to seeing how it plays.
Yeah. I'll just be excited to play with decks of it. I've been hearing like there's no playability or something, but I love the art. You know what I mean?
I honestly also feel like I've heard that for every set that's come out since I started
there you go.
working on this game. So, I'm sure sometimes more legit than others, but it does feel like people are always unhappy with whatever the new set is that's coming out.
And then the prying questions. The storytelling, it's so weird, right? Like what's going on? He's telling him some kind of secret in his ear with this long mouth.
That's definitely me in that chair.
I was gonna ask you, is that you in the chair?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. And the paintings or whatever, murals or whatever is going on in the back of the wall. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. What a weird one.
It is, but that's why I like some of the art on these cards. I'm like, they're just so wild, man. Now this one,
I like this
one of my favorites, dude.
Yeah.
That was the week.
That was a fun piece for sure.
love the art on this, the smoke coming off the skeleton. I just like, the illustration, like in the behind your paint pieces, is like really what draws me to your work. It's not just, a foreground, but it's telling a story with every piece of what's going on in the painting. And you can come up with your own story. I mean, who knows, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, maybe that's like, you're thinking of like Pirates of the Caribbean, that's some kind of creature, but a pirate, you're on a ship, and maybe that's like a cleric or a paladin, and she's like, killing them in the light or something. It's really cool. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
love the way you do your work.
Thank you.
This one, Hunted Witness, such a shady dude.
Another favorite of mine. This one, I feel like it's in a way kind of a quiet piece. There's nothing like really magical or fantasy-ish or anything going on, but this one is one that I do think kind of, for me, is a personal favorite.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to know. There you go. You answered one of the questions I was going to have you. But yeah, like you said, it's simple. It's just an alleyway. It gives you like a Jason Bourne vibe, like he's a spy and he's got some kind of paper he's got to get away from these people, and maybe they're like counter spies trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah.
I mentioned being into movies when I was a kid, and that being something that I definitely, like, as much as I take inspiration from other painters and comic artists and people like that, I take a ton from photographers and from movies. And so, like, cinematic language is something that is kind of in my head a lot of the time. And this piece to me does feel very like, in that direction.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, like you could almost see this as a panel in the storytelling,
like
of
a storyboard. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And this one too was so wild. I was like, all right, I like this. It's exactly depicts what it says: thought distortion.
Yeah.
And then 2020, the year of Marvel masterpieces.
Yeah.
I was only able to find one magic card that they put out for 2020 with you, and I think it was like a copy card. And I was like, I'll dedicate 2020 to Marvel masterpieces.
I honestly, like, this was such a big project. I was doing other work for a lot of the time that I was working on masterpieces, and it wasn't until it was a 2-year project, and I think it was the last 5 months maybe that I was solely working on that. Like, the first year and a half of it, I was doing other things, but I did sort of rotate out of magic while this was going on. And I didn't come back in until, I don't remember with the different lead times on things, but yeah, it wasn't until I was finished with masterpieces that I came back to starting to get back into doing stuff with magic.
Beautiful pieces, every single one of them.
Thanks.
And then we go to 2021 with the Westvale Cult Leader. Again, like the storytelling going on in the background, and what's going on with these shady people in a circle and maybe a farm field. It almost looks like a farm in the background.
Yeah. Again, I love the spooky horror type of stuff. Anything like, gothic horror, like moody folk horror, that kind of stuff is really very appealing to me. So that was fun to. I think this was a return to Innistrad set from what I remember.
Yeah, when I looked it up on the Magic the Gathering website, the first thing that popped up for me was the Jumpstart Historic Horizons, but that could have just been them putting this in a secondary set or something.
This might have been, I think this might have come out earlier, and then was reprinted, because that happens a lot. Some of my pieces have been reprinted in all kinds of different later introductory sets and things like that. So
I don't know. I did notice.
I don't know. I do want to say this was probably maybe more like a 2016 piece.
Oh wow!
Originally,
okay.
Something just ballparking.
Nice. Oh, I love the piece. The light reflecting off the lamps. It's very.
Thank you.
Yeah. The Reeve Soul. This one was amazing. The way the smoke details is dissipating, and like the hand going through on the other side.
You.
Incredible work. And this one I really liked. Again, the illustration is just insane in your work.
I remember for sure this was post Masterpieces coming back.
Okay.
Because I remember like just starting to, this might have been like one of the first pieces I did after that, coming back to Magic. Yeah, and they were doing this like, this noir. I forget the name of that set, but this noir set was a lot of fun.
They're saying it was the Streets of New Capena or Capena.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. It gave me like you know, like Dick Tracy or like Roger Rabbit's Private Eye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I was definitely thinking like Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, kind of old detective novel type of stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. That's great insight to learn that, you know, where you may have pulled something from to create this awesome piece. And like you said, it's noir. It's got that old feel, but then you included something that's so wild with the mechanical technology on the skull, and it's like throws you off. You're like,
yeah, that is partially referenced. I'm a big into photography, and particularly big into analog cameras, and there's some inspiration from a Rolleiflex brought into the design of that like contraption on the front of the skull there. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
cool details. That's awesome. And you do have a very cool photography page on Instagram. So
thanks.
Yeah, make sure to go check that out if that's something you guys are into. This one was really cool. I felt like this was like something at a D&D, you know, like you're the game master's like describing the scene to you, and like this would pop in your head. Well, not like this, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's incredible, you know?
Yeah.
You could just see the expressions like, oh, we shouldn't have went in this room. Or that dude's like, light the lights, like, and then this is what you see.
That eye popped open and everybody realized that it wasn't just a rocky wall behind them. Yeah.
Yeah, or like a regular lizard creature that's like the size of a person.
Yeah.
Like this monster. And this was actually the first set me and my son started to really buy into was the Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Okay, nice.
I like the dinosaurs that they had in it. It was cool.
Yeah. Some really cool stuff there.
Again, the shrewd storyteller. Incredible work.
Yeah, Duskmorn, another horror set. I always have fun with the horror sets.
Yeah, Duskmorn was a cool set. Again, this is me and my son were buying into this, and Duskmorn was a cool set. I enjoyed opening it with him again, and he'd be excited to be like, "Oh, we hit this," and I'm like, "All right, is it a foil? Like, what's you know?" He's like, "No, just playability. I could put it in a stack." And I'm like, "Oh, cool, all right." So, but to me, I'm looking at like the card art, and this is like wild.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Diablo or anything, but this reminded me of like the old dude Kane, who is like,
I don't know any of the lore. I used to play, I think it was Diablo 3 way back when I worked at a like comic and game store, and they had a LAN in the back, and we would play that after hours. But
cool.
But no, I don't know the lore. I'm not much of a gamer, so it was more
very
just like
cool
button mashing for me.
I feel you. It wasn't until I got older until I was like, oh, you know, they wrote a book. So I read the book and I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and then, this is the Minotaur piece. Yeah.
This is the largest piece you've done, right? For Magic the Gathering?
Yes. I think I'm trying to remember. I have another piece that is not released that might be the same size as this one.
Okay.
But of anything that's been released so far, this is the biggest that I've done. Yeah, I think this was 24 by 32 off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Inches. Oh yeah, you have it right there.
Yep. And this was from Duskborn, the House of Horror Commander set.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, the way the mist is, I'm thinking this is like a boat going through some wild stuff.
It was supposed to be this mansion that is just this kind of like twisting series of interdimensional portals or something. And so
there you go.
Yeah, they wanted it to really represent that kind of like the laws of reality are sort of bent and broken in this place. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, with that art direction, were you free to create this character, or did they give you?
So the character, she was a previously in another set.
Okay.
I do not remember the set or the artist that did her originally off the top of my head. It's escaping me, but no, she had been previously a planeswalker in an earlier set, and so I had that to go on. They didn't have very much artwork of her. I think there was, of course, like the original card she was on, and then maybe one or two other pieces of art that had been done for other purposes to work with. But no, she was already an established character.
It's beautiful work. I mean, yeah, I guess now I could see, like all the staircases going everywhere. I don't know why I was thinking like, like the stairs going up to where like the steering wheel would be.
I mean, I
and then this
absolutely
being
can see where
captain
you're coming
quarters or
from.
something with lights in the background.
Yeah, all the wood and planks and everything. Yeah.
All right, now here we're coming to the Spider-Man 2025. This is a really cool card. Mob Lookout.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration for this card, or what was going through your mind?
I mean, so this was that's Hammerhead there,
Yeah.
and the description they gave me was like Hammerhead's gang in the middle of a robbery, and they're
Cool.
just kind of like transporting the bags of money basically out of the building and into their truck or something. But again, just like tying into both that kind of like old noir movies and also those just like Spider-Man was one of the titles that I read when I was a kid, and so really kind of going back to that.
Yeah, and again, this would be like a panel on a storyboard that's telling a whole movie or scene, and seeing this, you just starts running through your head like, oh, where's Spider-Man's gonna come around the corner and next web these guys and everything. So it's so cool. I love it's not just like a painting of something. It's like you said, it's so in depth on like what's going on in the background, the foreground with the characters, their movements.
Thank you. And I think that's one of the fun things with the scenarios that they present to us is that there is a lot of story in them, and it's fun to do the paintings where you're just doing a character portrait, but also the pieces that do have more of a narrative to them. It's a challenge to kind of work that in, but yeah, it is really satisfying when it lands.
And this one's really cool. We got Norman Osborn with Unstable Experiment.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see the Green Goblin in the glass.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with the art director because I was like, realistically, that eye should be flopped because when you're looking through a liquid, it would like reverse the image like that. And he was like, let's don't do that. He's like, it doesn't look right.
Yeah, no.
Like it's correct technically, but it looks better this way. It's like, I agree, it does. So
there you go. Maybe a reflection of a reflection somehow is
sure.
correct. Yeah, there you go. And this one's my favorite.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. Yeah.
Web up. It's so cool. You see the loot still there?
Yeah.
With the Spider-Man note.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the direction with this one?
I get just this a man who was stealing a bag of money has been spider webbed up to the wall, and a police officer is coming onto the scene.
Oh wow!
Which, it's like very hard to tell what's going on with that figure back there. There is a little bit of an indication of like that. I don't know what those caps are called, but I don't know if they even still wear them. But police have those caps with like the pointy thing on the front.
Yeah, the brim.
But it just felt like such a scene from a comic book where they would like shine the flashlight on the wall, and there's just like that like spotlit guy all like covered in webbing upside down.
So cool. I mean, like for me, some of the scenes that I've seen, I really like when it's like an alleyway scene and the detail is just insane, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's like you're in the alleyway almost, or
actually
what's gonna happen next.
I do have that one here with me. I'm gonna have a terrible reflection on this, but the original of it is reasonably small.
Oh, here, I'll make it bigger. Hold on a second.
Oh no, I mean like the artwork.
Oh wow,
is not terribly large for how detailed I got in there, but yeah, I was just really wanting to bring it with these pieces, and so.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
See if I could do that. No, I can't do that. Oh, nope. Where'd you go? There we go. I'm just trying to mess around with this. I think it's because I'm sharing the other page. Oh, no, wait, there it is. Boom. There we go. Wow.
How do I do this and not have there? That's
there you
pretty
go.
good.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, these were super fun.
That's awesome.
I think this one hasn't been varnished yet, so it might look a little bit matte. And this piece, which.
Wow.
Kind of bigger than life.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't expect it. That's awesome, though. He's like leaning on, you could see him leaning on the science table, like looking into this, beaker, and you're like right there on the other side of the table, like, oh man, don't drink that, bro. That's really cool. Let me try to get back to where we were. There it is. All right. And then what else did I have left? Oh, some of just my favorites. You had the OAX sideshow Constantine.
Oh, thanks you. Yeah.
The commission you recently did with Jean Grey was.
I really was happy how that came out. Yeah.
Beautiful work. I mean, if that was a card, wow.
Yeah. No, I had a great time with that, and I mean, always trying to push myself and improve, and every once in a while I feel like some new things fall into place, and that was one where I just felt like some things were clicking, and I'm been really excited with a lot of the work I've been doing this year that I haven't been able to show yet, but I feel like I've got some new stuff that I'm very, very happy with, very proud of. Yeah. And that heavy metal piece also pretty recent. I think that was from late. I think I was working on that like November of last year.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome cover. That's the censored one. There is a not safe for work variant, which is incredible.
Yeah, they asked me if I wanted to do the not safe for work variant. I was like, sure, and they're like, yeah, just something with a lady and a robot. I'm like, cool.
Right,
do that.
I could dig it. And then others that I wanted to share, the OAX IAX 2025, The Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Marvel Platinum, Dr. Doom.
That Doom was a lot of fun. I was so glad I got to do Doom in that set, because Fantastic Four and related characters were still tied up in some kind of legal red tape when I did masterpieces, so I couldn't do any of those characters. And Dr. Doom is one of my favorites, so I was so happy that I was able to then do a Doom trading card, and then I got to do a second one in Flair. Yeah,
love it. Got Emperor Doom with Thanos' skull and spine. It's just it's perfect. Love it. It's great work, man. I mean, I when I was like checking everything out, I was like, oh, that's really nice to be able to look at all these things that I have cards, but they're away or in a binder, and doing the slideshow, it really got me reinvigorated into looking at all this work. I was like, oh man, I love the way everything looks. And it was just so fun to get back into looking at all your works through the years.
Thank you. I saw a couple of questions in the chat.
I couldn't look at them while I was showing the slides. So
Perna Studio asked if I've ever had artist block on a piece, and if so, how do I deal with it? Do you walk away and work on another piece? Tell me. I don't often have the luxury to put a piece away and come back to it when it's for a client commission. Usually the timeline is just too tight for that. With my personal work, sometimes a piece will sit. I have one that I think it's been at least a year since I blocked it in, and it's just been sitting there waiting for me to sit down with it again. So it really just depends. I think as far as like artist block goes, I have had that sometimes if I'm working on a personal series, and at some point I might just kind of be like, I'm not sure if there's more here, or if it's something that I'm gonna call it done, or if maybe I'll come back to it and find something new to do. And I think, if I have that luxury of being able to step away, it is nice to be able to just work on other things. And then, yeah, it's either if it's either going to still be interesting to me or not when I come back to it. And if it's not interesting, then it's time to just move on to something else. And then I saw there was another one. Do I keep my original art from Magic? Mostly no. I do have some, and there are some that I wish I had that I don't have. Most of them I would sell as the sets came out. Sometimes I would cycle into a phase where I just wasn't listing things for sale. And so I have just kind of a random collection. With masterpieces, there were a bunch that I kept intentionally, that I didn't want to just let it all go. Because I've had that experience with Magic and with other things where I kind of wish I had something that I had let go of. But these I still have, just because it's another stipulation in the contract with the Marvel set not to sell the originals until the official release of the card. But I will be probably making those available, or I'm going to be doing a Eternal Weekend event in early October, so I might hang on to one of them to bring with me to that. I'm not for sure, but
that's cool.
Yeah.
Great questions. Let me see here. What's been the most challenging assignment in your career so far, and what did it teach you?
I've had different kinds of challenges. I think that the easy answer to that is masterpieces, just because of the scale of it.
Okay.
But luckily, by the time I came to that, I had done some other projects that prepared me for it. You mentioned in the intro that I've done a whole bunch of illustrated novels, and that's something that I have always really loved as a collection of work. The N.C. Wyeth Treasure Island is one that I always come back to. You said that you're in Jersey. I don't know if you've ever been down to the Brandywine Museum. I think it's maybe less set up to display this now, but years ago they used to have a room that was just like, you walk in and just the walls are lined with all these Treasure Island paintings that N.C. Wyeth did.
Oh, wow.
Back in the 1910s, I think, was when he was working on those. And something just really impressive about that to me, and really exciting about seeing this kind of progression of a story told in these selected moments. And so getting to work on illustrated novels myself, which is a thing that has become more popular in the past several years, with these high-end collector's editions where somebody will be commissioned to do a bunch of paintings for a limited edition of some classic novel, or sometimes some recent novel. There's one publisher I've been working with who that's just what they do for their new releases. It's pretty unusual, but when they, for me anyway, they've worked with me to do illustrated pieces for a book that's being published for the first time, and that's really fun. But what I learned in the process of doing those, the first illustrated book I did was Tim Powers' Anubis Gates in 2011. I think I did that. Now, I was pretty early in my career at that point, or relatively so anyway. And I think I was mostly very happy with the work I did on that project. But inevitably, I think I did maybe 12 or 14 paintings. There's going to be one or two that didn't really feel quite as satisfying to me as the average pieces in the group. And with a bunch of the illustrated novels I was doing after that, I noticed that this became more of a regular thing that I could expect, that there was always going to be a couple of pieces that I would look back and feel like I wish I'd had more time to, but really not even more time to execute the piece, but more time to think about the idea. Like,
oh, okay.
The problem wasn't necessarily the, the technical execution. The problem was just that the piece had been maybe not fully baked when I sat down to work on it. And so when masterpieces came around, having had the experience of doing a bunch of projects like that, where I was working in a series, and having worked on so many magic cards where I was working really small, I had a lot of practice to kind of be prepared for those problems that were going to come up. But I was still like really diligent about not really trying to not let myself say yes to an idea until I was really like fully happy with it, that it felt like really exciting to me. And I think I did, for 135 pieces, I think I did a pretty good job, even though I still have a couple that I look at and I'm like, I could have done more with that, you know. But it's every time I go through that experience, it's a reinforcement of that lesson. And every time I walk away being prepared. So I just recently completed another illustrated novel. I'm not sure what the release date's going to be on this. I can't say what the book is, but it was for a publisher I had not worked with previously. And I think altogether it was a cover, 12 interiors, and then 10 like chapter headers. So it was a lot of pieces that I did for this project. And I feel like it really was like, I took my time thinking it through, and I really am so happy with the result. And I'm really excited to be able to share it, because I do feel like I'm like finally getting better at that, like putting that love into every piece. And sometimes to do that, you need to spend like 3 times as long with one piece. Sometimes it's just real easy, and sometimes it's a struggle, but it's always worth the struggle, you know? So yeah, that's a lesson that I have been continuing to learn a little bit more and a little bit more. And also this is going back to that Jean Grey piece, I think, is to really kind of force myself to sit down and give it just another day, when sometimes a piece feels finished, but it always benefits from just a little bit more love. And that's another thing that is, it feels like it should have figured that out a lot earlier than like 20 years in. but you know, it's something that I'm valuing more now, is how just that like little bit of extra time at the end can really like turn it up even further.
Oh yeah, it shows. I mean, that Jean Grey is probably one of my favorite Marvel pieces you've done to date.
Thanks. Thank you.
Out of all the characters that I, enjoy and all that, I saw that and I was like, that's an incredible piece. I mean, another level. So
thank you.
Bravo.
Appreciate it.
We got Jeremiah, our buddy, is saying, Dave, you were such a pleasure to hang out with at OAX, the Gathering event. Such a humble and friendly young man, a big highlight of our trip amongst all other highlights.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, it was just a great weekend. Such a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to
so many good people. Yeah, I like, it seems like the kind of show where people come back every year, and so I'm looking forward to getting to see people again, reconnect with folks, and
me and my son. I'm bringing my son this year, and so he's going to definitely be in the Magic the Gathering event this year.
Oh, cool!
This time, and we're excited. So, I mean, one of the best events I've ever been to. Probably, let me rephrase it: the best event I've ever been to. As you touched on before, it's almost like an intimate setting where you get to have a conversation with artists. It's not like an artist alley where you see somebody you really enjoy, but you're not getting through the crowd of 30 people, or you may, but that's all you're hitting. Because by the time you get to the next favorite artist, the line's around 2 of the aisles of Artist Alley, and you're bumping shoulders and worrying if you're going to bend the print you just bought or the comic you got. And
on the other side of that, also like the artists, I went up to New York Comic Con for a day last year, just to walk around and talk to people. And there were some people that I was talking to, and I was just so aware while we were chatting that they're like talking to me and they've got one eye on, is there an opportunity for business passing by here? You know, and it's just like there's so much distraction around, and yeah, it's not my favorite. It's cool to go to those big shows because
of course
it brings out a lot of great talent. You get to see a lot of cool stuff, but it's also just like it's so like exhausting and overwhelming. You know, I like a quiet show. It's more my speed.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Kos was sharing with us, there will be
Yes.
multiple
Nice.
Magic the Gathering events at the next OAX, including one again for teaching beginners.
Excellent.
Awesome. Excellent. It's such an excellent touch to the event, to the show. It's another gathering from the community, and to just hang out with everyone. Looking forward to that. And my son is definitely looking forward to it because I told him about it. He was like, what? That's so cool. I'm like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. What deck do you play with?
What deck do I play with?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
gosh.
You play with like a color deck?
I don't. So I played back in 95, 96. I remember playing like Mirage, Weatherlight around then.
Wow.
And I was so hopelessly outmatched by the other people who I was learning to play with because they'd all been with the game like from the beginning. It sounds ridiculous now because the game had only been out for like 2 or 3 years at that point, but I just felt like I'm never going to catch up. And I ended up getting really into some other, like during that time, there were like a lot of competing other trading card games going on. And so I did not stick with Magic. When I started working with them in 2008, I did kind of like come back to playing very casual kitchen table with some people I knew, but I don't like have a deck. I don't.
Okay.
I don't play actively. If anybody plays with me, they need a lot of patience because I'm very slow and I need to read every card, you know. And the people the folks I've played with have all been like so nice, and so like everybody's just having a good time. But when I'm not in the game and I'm watching other people play, everybody's so fast, they know what they're doing. I feel like I just like grind everything to a halt when I get in there.
Yeah, it's like I totally agree. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how what kind of combo is that? How are you keeping score? Is there a score? Oh, life? What are you doing? So, like, my son's got a lot of teaching to do.
I was like, I played in a little local tournament way back there, and I just remember I got destroyed. I was like a little kid also, and I remember the guys I could see that he felt bad doing it to me, but it was just like by turn 3, I was done. It was embarrassing.
Well, then to touch back to Casa, we're all gonna be beginners.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. Jeremiah is saying, I'll bring David Beck from the 90s. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I have I definitely like a lot of nostalgia for the artwork on those, the sets that were out when I was playing, and some of those, I remember, like going to the game store and buying individual cards. And I was like, I had no strategy. I just wanted like the biggest, baddest creatures I could get, which at that time was like, I think like Force of Nature and stuff like that. But
that's cool.
Like, ooh, yeah, this is a really strong creature that's gonna, I didn't understand blue and black decks at all. Okay. which meant anytime I played against one, I got my ass handed to me.
Well, blue, I heard, is very difficult to play against or something. So
very tricky stuff. Black also, the whole like hurt yourself to hurt your opponent more. I couldn't understand how to play that way, and so I didn't know how to defend against it either. But yeah,
we got some learning to do.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Again, Dave, Julie will be there, right?
Yes.
I'm going. A lot of our friends are going. So looking forward to see a bunch of people there. Dave.
I know there's going to be some new artists this year, so it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, make sure you're checking OAX's content and website for any of the pre-commissions coming up, because they drop here and there, and you don't want to miss out if it's a favorite artist you've been looking for. I've already got 3 commissions secured so far. Nice. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for them to trickle on in. Very excited about it. My son, I'm trying to look to see if because he loves characters and everything, but I'm like, oh, well, who's your favorite? Who would you PC? And he's like, I don't think I would PC somebody, but I like these specific characters. So he's really into Invincible. He likes Battle Beast. So
some deep
I'm
cuts.
Like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll reach out to some artists and get commissions for them.
I think that's really fun. Also, when people ask for something a little off the beaten path, it's fun to do Spider-Man and Wolverine, but it is also like some of those masterpieces cards. They were like Upper Deck put requests in for like Pip the Troll and characters like that. That was like, cool. This might be the only Pip the Troll that's ever been in a masterpiece. So you got to represent, but yeah. 40 new artists this year. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. 40 new artists this year. Big announcements coming this Tuesday, everyone.
Awesome. Excellent.
That is awesome. Yeah, I agree. Exciting. You got to make sure you stay on top of everything because you can miss an opportunity. So don't, if you watch the Card Art Explained episode, I was the guest on for OCD Marvel sketch cards, Matt Fuller. And we talked about doing pre-commissions and how to secure it, make sure you're staggering and saving money. And
sure.
You'll be pretty good. So moving into like, I've noticed like you do a lot of tutorials on muddy waters, right? Muddy colors. So as a regular contributor, sharing tutorials and insights, why is teaching and sharing your process so important to you?
I mean, I really value all the people who were generous with me when I was learning. Some of them were formal teachers, but a lot of them were just other artists that I met at conventions and other just whether it was somebody who was kind of at the same, like trying to get in to the business stage of their career, but also a lot of people who had been around for a long time, but were still very just very generous in looking at your work and giving you reviews, giving you feedback. And honestly, this is something that when I look back, I wish I had been more seeking feedback. I think that I often had a desire to kind of look like I knew what I was doing when I didn't necessarily, that prevented me from asking questions and trying to get that kind of those kind of notes from artists. But nevertheless, there were a lot of folks who were still happy to kind of like share with me or show me, just like share their process and things like that. And it was just like so valuable. And I think it's really important. I think, to be honest, art school is not necessarily giving people all the tools they need. Hopefully a good art school will teach you how to continue once you're not there anymore, how to keep learning and how to keep going after whatever the next step is that you need. But that means that there have to be other people outside of that to help you along the way. So yeah, I think Muddy Colors is such a good resource for that. I honestly, I don't know that I have been able to contribute that much in that particular venue in recent years, just because I've been a contributor there for so long. And sometimes it starts to feel like I don't even know what I have to say that I haven't already like written an article or said something about. But that is also part of the reason why I started doing more YouTube videos, where I can really kind of more just like show the process and talk about some of the kind of like the thought process behind what I'm doing, or just kind of like, in some ways it was important to me to kind of like demystify some of the parts of it. I think when I was coming up is less so now, but there was a lot of mystique about certain steps of the process. I had again, going back to like being able to see how my parents worked, to see them working. I knew like a lot of the techniques that they were using, a lot of the steps in the process that they were doing. that was demystified to me, but then I would run into other people who were like, you can't use photo reference, that's a cheat, you know, like to any kind of like, forget it if you wanted to like trace or anything like that was like blasphemy. And, you know, I know like looking at the work of, that is a Muddy Colors post that I did at some point that is like finding old reference photos from different artists and illustrators, going all the way back to some stuff from like, you know, early days of photography, like Maxfield Parrish and folks like that. And you look at the reference and you look at the finished piece, and it's like, there's, in my opinion, there's definitely like projection happening here or something like that. And it's just like a lot of artists, for whatever reason, were very secretive about that stuff. I think maybe out of insecurity or maybe out of just a disinterest in sharing their process. I'm not sure. And I think it's important for people to kind of understand that, you know, there's all these tools and processes that are all valid if you're intentionally like thinking about how you're incorporating this into the final vision that you're trying to achieve. So I think it's important to be out and open with the things you're doing, and also to really kind of like try to give time to people who are still learning and you know, help those folks out the way that other people helped me out.
That's awesome. That's awesome to give back. And then I'll follow with that. For young illustrators hoping to break into fantasy and sci-fi illustration, what's the most important advice you'd give them?
It has changed so much since when I started that in some ways I feel unqualified to answer that question. I mean, even like 5 years into my career, I was starting to feel like things were changing rapidly. Social media, and you know, now we were talking a little bit earlier about AI and things like that. It's hard to give advice to somebody. I would say I would advise people to stay the fuck away from AI in their process for all kinds of reasons. But a big one is, and this ties into what you should be doing, not just what you shouldn't be doing. What you should be doing is learning how to present and express a vision that is uniquely from you. And I think it's natural that everybody diminishes what's uniquely from us. We feel like it is not that interesting, or that it is not as valuable. And so, you know, we don't always feel comfortable like really putting that forward and really leaning into that personal voice. But developing that personal voice is what is ultimately going to serve you as an artist and build a career, because without that, you're forgettable. You need to have some kind of an identity that people can remember. And especially if you want to, you know, if you want to work in any kind of professional capacity, whether you're doing commercial work or if you're working in galleries, you know, people really do best when there is like an identity that they're expressing that comes from some kind of a genuine place that's just being them. And that's why like incorporating any kind of AI into the process, you're outsourcing something that could be from you to this you know, machine that just kind of aggregates things down to the average. And the more a person does that, I think your skills atrophy. But I also think the more a person does that, the weaker their work is going to be, because it's going to have less individuality. Even if something is technically better, like even if there is, you know, you feel like you can't render as well as the algorithm can spit something out.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. I think it makes the work weaker and more forgettable. So yeah, I think that is really like the thing is you know, pursue the stuff that you find exciting and interesting, and in that you're going to find who you are and what you want to do and what you're good at doing.
Great advice. Great advice. With Topps now, with the Marvel license and the lack of OA we've seen as of yet, what do you feel like the current state of the hobby is? And do you feel like there will be a huge shift to DC with Upper Deck?
if I could comment, I probably shouldn't. So luckily, I can't. I don't really have an insight. All the folks I knew who worked at Upper Deck don't work there anymore.
Okay.
It seemed like there was a lot of turnover in the past year or so. I have not been in contact with anybody from Topps about any of their original art sets, but I have heard secondhand that there are original art sets that they're doing.
Okay.
Which is good news, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. So, I know I've seen, like, I've kind of been keeping one eye on the online, like on the Facebook card groups and that kind of thing. So I've seen some of the like updates and news about new releases, but I haven't really been keeping on top of it. So I hope in both cases, I hope that Upper Deck embraces working on DC sets. That'd be really cool. Even though I'm not as much of a DC guy, I don't know those characters all that well, but it's still really, I think, really cool to see when they put these original art sets out. It's really fun. And yeah, Topps, I know that some cool stuff is happening. I just am very much like peripheral to it. So,
yeah, we're all hoping we see some kind of original art come from them.
I know that there will be. I just don't know how much or when.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. And like I've been, keep talking this over with friends and my son, and it's like kids now aren't readily available to get Marvel cards like they were when we were kids, or Magic cards. Yeah. So now it's like, oh, well, kids that might want to get open boxes of cards might this generation come up with DC like we came up with Marvel. So I'm curious to see if that'll happen.
The cards are so expensive now. Like, can kids even open them?
No, they're not for kids.
Such a different thing. Yeah.
Not Marvel.
Yeah. I wish that's the thing I would like to see the most is somebody do a set that is like actually, I mean, I guess they do have stuff in Target, or whatever. But yeah, just something that truly is like, I don't know. Maybe it's not viable in today's world, but it would be really fun to see something that you could go buy a pack for a couple bucks like it used to be,
Totally agree. And kind of touching back with what Tony asked you, have you ever gone back to repaint or reimagine an older piece just to see how far you can go with it?
I don't think I've ever tried to recreate an older piece. And even like going back into an older piece is not usually something I'm interested in doing unless there's a specific reason. So, for example, that I mentioned that there was the piece that had been slushed that just came out in the new arena set. And that was one where when I turned it in, some of the finishing on it, they had some revisions that were done digitally. I think just really for a time constraint, I needed to get them done really quickly. And I never got around, especially because then it looked like that card wasn't even going to release. I never got around to going and doing them in the paint. And now that it's out, I like pulled that piece out and sat down with it and finally like finished it, but no, the closest to that I think that I ever come is I do sometimes like sketch out ideas or shoot reference for something that's more of a non-commissioned like personal piece, and then just don't get to do it. And sometimes I do come back to those, and that can be interesting to come back to an idea that I like worked it all out like 5 years ago and then forgot about it, and then I find that sketch. I think I have one. Do I have it here? I had a little sketch that I every once in a while. No, it's not here with me. Every once in a while, I'm just like shuffling through some papers, and no, that's not it. And I find this little doodle that I did, and I'm always like, that's. I still think that would be a cool painting. One of these days, I'm gonna find the time to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like put it on the back burner.
Yeah, and it's like you come back to it later, and maybe you've got a new idea, something, or it's like sometimes a piece sits in that state because it feels like something's missing, and then you come back to it a couple of years later, and it's just like, oh, I got a new, fresh eyes on this. I can see like this is a better way to do it. So yeah, that happens not all that often, but it happens every once in a while.
Okay, cool. Friends, make sure that you hit pound ramble on for tonight's giveaway. We'll be giving away the black welcome deck. So you'll definitely be getting the Web Up Dave Palumbo card. There's pretty cool cards in there. I think there's 30 in here. First card on the deck says Venom, Eddie Brock. It's awesome art. And then with it, you'll also be getting the second Dave Palumbo card that I have, which is the Unstable Experiment with Norman Osborn. So that's going to be pound ramble on. And again, if you win, make sure to hit me up on Instagram, same handle, and just share that you won and send me your info so I can send it your way. All right, Dave, we're just wrapping up everything. What excites you most about the next chapter of your artistic journey?
I think it's, as I said, that I continue. I think just about every artist I know continues to explore and tries to improve and learn as we go. And sometimes you go several years and you feel like you're just riding on a plateau, and then you kind of like open up a new door and find something new. And I just feel like this year has been that kind of an experience for me. I feel like I've been some things have been clicking into place, and so I'm just really very excited about a lot of the recent work that I have done, and really excited about like applying that to whatever new pieces I'm going to be working on.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like if things just keep going and progressing, and it seems like they are, and it only seems like it gets better. And the illustration work is some of my favorite that you do. Like I said, depicting, looking at a picture and being able to just create this story in your head with an imagination based on what the artist put on paper, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Thank you.
And especially that goes with books as well. I mean, it gives you an idea of the setting or the story.
Oh yeah.
So for an artist and an author to work on that, and it makes it all that better, is awesome too. Makes it so much better.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we touched base on a lot of the pieces that we went through for that you've done in the past. And you did answer another question I had, so I don't want to go back on that. Oh, here's one. Has your style or storytelling focus evolved significantly over time? And do you feel or ever feel that you're chasing the same themes, or you feel like you're pulling from different areas?
I think that the themes don't change so much.
Okay.
And I want to say that I get a better understanding of them, but I'm not sure if that's right either. I think I just get more comfortable with
Okay.
that. Which, earlier when I was saying like that artists often, speaking for myself personally, that I might kind of not value certain things that actually are an asset to my work, because sometimes I remember having a conversation with Sam Weber about sometimes a painting just comes really easy, and oftentimes those pieces are very strong pieces to other people, but we feel like embarrassed about them or shy about them, like something about this must be wrong because I didn't struggle enough with it or something, and that's something that I've been trying to kind of shake, get a new perspective on, and recognize that means when it flows like that is actually a good thing, and that it's because it is representing like whatever those themes are that are really kind of keep coming back again and again in the work. What was the first part of the question?
No, you basically nailed that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you
I
nailed
didn't know
that.
if there was a
Yeah,
part I left out
it was
there, but yeah.
very, very good answer. I couldn't have looked for a better answer on that one, so thank you. The descriptions that you bring into it is very insightful. It's not just like an answer you're throwing out. You're bringing in a whole explanation to it, to where someone who isn't coming from an artist background but has appreciation and love for art can totally relate to what you're saying.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Very, very appreciative. And let's see where we're at with the giveaway. So we've got, no, that can't be right. It says 3. I saw definitely a few people into that. So let me make sure.
Well, we got some.
I know, that's Tony, our friend. He's our comedic relief here. It does say 3. So, all right, well, it's a great giveaway. Thank you all for being here tonight. So we're going to run that, and I'll give you 10 seconds. So make sure you're hitting pound ramble on. And wrapping up, let's see. Yeah, I asked you that. That was a great answer. So that touched base on everything. I already asked you about an older piece. So I appreciate you coming on. The wrap up I'd like to say is thank you so much for sharing your story and the insights. Your work continues to inspire me, our community, collectors, other new artists that are coming in. And I think you allow people to find the illustrations and the story in your art. So it's not just a piece that I could look at and be like, oh, that's a great depiction of Man-Thing or something. There's a story to the way, and it's not just with Magic the Gathering. It's in some of your other pieces as well. I see it's traversed across all of your works, and
thank you.
It's something I personally drew me to your work, and it makes what you stand out to me as a masterpiece artist. So again, thank you for coming on and speaking with us all tonight. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. It's been a really fun conversation.
Awesome. All right. Well, good luck, everybody. What's going to be? I hope it's not Canada. Don't be Canada. Ah, Canada. No, I'm kidding. There's no tariffs to Canada. You just have to tell them it's trading cards. Congratulations.
Well, that's definitely a gift shipment anyway. I don't know
or I could just hold on to it till I see him at OAX. Boo that man. Dave, again, thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking forward to the works that come out. Every post that you put on your page with the new arts that you do is just incredible. I think the one I saw recently today, I believe, was the piece with the I want to say it was like a water creature.
Yeah, that's the arena piece I was talking about. Yeah,
loved it.
I will say, because since I already mentioned that it was something that had gotten basically canned at one point and then sat for a long time in a file somewhere, and now finally is like been released. I got to say, it's very gratifying that piece has been getting a lot of love, because I remember when it didn't make the original release, I was just like, I really like this one. I don't understand what happened, So I'm just like really happy that other people are appreciating it. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And again, like I was a big fan of World of Warcraft for a while. So like some of the styles that you do or the settings and backgrounds that are going on, I just love, because I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It's like a fantasy.
Yeah.
I could see like where it's coming from, because like I was really big into like the lore of that game, not just the game, because I came from playing the actual real-time strategy, which is like Warcraft 3 or whatever, and then playing and everything. It was like, I love seeing that kind of fantasy work, and your depictions of the way you pull it into like not realism, but it's still got that fantasy vibe to it, where you're like, I love it.
Thank you. And Kazra, what are you talking about? Of course you're going to see me at IX. If you're going to be there, I'll be there. I'll be there for sure.
I'm definitely, please send me the information on it, because it's not that far for me. So
yeah. It's about a month and a half from now. So
cool. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining. I appreciate you all. Again, Dave, thank you. And to all my friends, make sure you ramble on.
All right. Thanks so much.